XR is a global technology platform that really anchors itself and focuses on creative management. And what that means is we work with the largest companies in the world to really focus in on the creative workflow, from the creation of the asset, the optimization of the asset, and ultimately the distribution of that asset. So really what we've done is really tried to focus in on the efficiencies and workflow to streamline the entire process, which then leads us to, if you think about what we try to do in 2025, is really try to eliminate the noise as it relates to creative. And so what that means is we want to focus on three key things. It's really focused in on data, which we'll talk a little bit more about. It's talking about the asset or the content itself, and the actual distribution. So if you combine all three of those things, you've got a unique, holistic view of the creative, and that really should benefit folks as it moves along. And for us, when we think about impact in 2025, it really should be focused in on a few key things. It should be focused in on waste management. It should be focused in on trying to maximize your production costs. And it really should be thinking about efficiencies and effectiveness of the commercial asset itself.
And where does AI come into play?
AI comes into play. We are really leveraging both AI and ML as it relates to the creative, and we run those models across all of our assets that we see in our platform. So we see roughly 1 million assets a year, and really what we're designed to do is really contextualize those assets. So we run what we call smart tagging. We take a look at what's in the asset itself, so thinking about demography information, activity that's happening within the commercial, objects within the commercial, and then really assigning IDs, capturing all of that information, and really allowing it to be holistic across the TV ecosystem, which is inclusive of linear and streaming.
Tell me a little bit about the launch of XR IQ and the rise of creative intelligence.
So the IQ is really powered by the AI models and algorithms that we utilize. And it's really designed to do a couple of things. So if you think about what we're doing, we're really contextualizing what happens around the asset. And what that means is it's really designed to do a couple of key things. So one big thing, dirty secret in the creative space, is that roughly 50% of all assets that get created never actually make it to an endpoint. They don't get delivered, they don't get utilized in campaigns, so that's waste management that needs to be addressed. So the AI models are really focused in on trying to capture some of that information, and part of the reason that exists is because there is no searchability opportunities for the advertisers because they don't really understand what's in the creative, they don't understand where the creative is. And so that's really what we're leveraging AI initially to do, is to really focus in on some of those pieces, and then that really should then lend itself really to what's ultimately important, which is the actual viewer experience at the end of the day. So really thinking about how do you think about contextualizing the entire process for the viewer, right? So you've got the content, how do you ensure that you have an opportunity to really create resonance as it relates to the viewer experience?
And so how does RX fit into the creative measurement equation?
So RX is, we've partnered with the Female Quotient to launch a representation index. And really what that means is we're really running those AI models on top of those creatives, and we're pulling out specific information as it relates to representation. Things like age, skin tone, gender expression, and body type. And really what we're thinking about is how can we really leverage that information to create insights for those that actually produce the ads. It's important to think about it not as a grading system, right? That's not really what it's designed to do. It's really designed to allow for insights to be created that can actually drive meaningful change and really alert people to what really should be opportunistic in terms of managing the whole creative process. And for us, RX is really sort of the tip of the spear, right? Because what we believe is that there are opportunities to actually run creative scoring through many different metrics and apply opportunities to actually understand more of that contextualization and provide signals back up to those that create the ads to actually think about how those ads are being created, as well as, again, sending information over to the publishers to, again, create some kind of resonance and connection with the brands themselves.
And looking ahead, what's your outlook for the total video marketplace?
The video marketplace, I think it's really important to think of it much more holistically, right? So it's both linear and streaming. And so if you think about what's happening within homes today, you've got the largest screen in the living room. It really presents an opportunity for folks to actually grab attention and to really focus in on what's happening on the screen. But really what's important is you actually need to make sure, if you're in an environment like that, you really need to make sure that you're really focused in on the premium experience, making sure that you don't deprecate what is thought of as a premium opportunity within advertising and for the contents themselves. So for us, really what we think about is you really need to think about everything much more holistically, and you need to ensure that you are thinking about things that we've already talked about and making sure that you can actually leverage some of those pointers to actually capture that entire market share. And so for us, the really important thing is you're really looking for trusted sources of creative to ensure that you actually are providing that user experience that's beneficial for the product, the content, the brands themselves. And so what that means is, it sounds super simplistic, but really what that means is you're after perfection. You need to make sure that you have the opportunity to leverage platforms that allow for that perfection to actually happen.